White Sun is a Los Angeles-based band known for its pioneering musical interpretations of yogic mantras. These are the songs of yogis sung with a penetrating vibratory musicality that enhance consciousness and awareness while delighting the senses. White Sun's music emphasizes the healing vibrations of mantra through the clear, profound lead vocals of Gurujas, my guest today on the Global Village. Band members Hari Jiwan and two-time Emmy winner Adam Berry serve up the richly layered rhythmic foundation that takes listeners beyond the everyday realm to a place of inspired, energized experience. White Sun won the 59th Annual Grammy Award for Best New Age Album for their second album, White Sun 2. That's what we're hearing right now. And White Sun's music has gone to #1 on Billboard, #1 on Amazon, and #1 on iTunes. And it's a great pleasure for me here to welcome into the studios of KPFK Gurujas, the singer and co-composer of White Sun.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very, very grateful, and thank you for that warm welcome.
Thank you, Gurujas. You've probably been told that White Sun's music is so uplifting. And I'm just wondering, how do people react to it, and what is the purpose that you bring into your music?
Well, I think that people hear our music a little bit differently than other music because it's mantra music. We're singing mantras in the songs, and other music that you listen to on the radio, pop music and rock music and all of the music that we love and enjoy, it's designed to move the emotional body of the person. And our music is designed to move the person holistically, to move the neurons in the brain to more productive neuron pathways, to move the energy in the body to a higher vibrational place, to move the energy of the chakras to a higher vibrational place. And so it's we have in the yogic technology something we call the 10 bodies. And White Sun's music, because we use mantra, it's designed to infuse the 10 bodies with a lightness, with an energy that feels good, with an authenticity, the authenticity of the soul. So I think that's why people have a little bit of a unique experience, because we're using mantras that are 5,000 years old on average.
So tell us about these mantras.
Well, the mantras are shrouded in mystery. They're sung in ancient, unknown languages, and people don't quite know how they arrived on the planet, but they do know that the yogis have been chanting them for thousands of years, and they've been chanting them to bring a certain effect to the entire system of the human body. And so what we encourage people to do with the mantras, I think this is the most powerful practice you could possibly construct for yourself, is just playing them at night while you sleep. And sometimes things that are so simple are also the most powerful. And it's just so simple, but if you can play them at night while
you're going to sleep.
Exactly. During your actual sleep, like if you play them on repeat all night, something that you like, it doesn't matter what mantra it is, and you can have it very low, the volume very low,
Yes.
so you're not bothered by it while you sleep. But what happens is that the high vibration of the mantra will go into the brain, and the neurons will begin to react to the vibrational frequency of the sounds. And so while sometimes during the day we might have anxieties or fears, or we might feel a little bit depressed or upset, or all of these negative things that come into our minds, or these negative thoughts that come into our minds, the mantras are designed to go in and rewire the neuron pathways of the brain to be more productive, more powerful. So to take out those weak thoughts and replace them with strong thoughts. And just that simple practice of playing the mantra at night is enough of vibration to affect the brain. And we've had remarkable results. One story that stands out in my mind so powerfully is a little boy that had night terrors. He was just bothered every night by night terrors, screaming. He told his mom he saw these very scary monsters coming into his room, and she didn't quite know what to do. And we suggested that she play the Apsahai Hoa of White Sun's first album, and she put it underneath his bed. And she didn't tell him what it was, and he was only about 3 years old at the time, so he wouldn't have understood anyway, I don't think. Maybe he would have. But he told her that the beings went away, and all of a sudden he was sleeping peacefully. Amazing. For the first time. He wasn't waking up screaming in the night, and it brought his mother to tears that her son was able to sleep peacefully. So these types of things, again, such a simple practice, but it can be so effective for positive change.
Why did you choose the name White Sun?
Hadi Jeevan, the founder of the band, chose the name White Sun, and he's really the one to answer that question, but I can try. White Sun is sort of the central sun of the entire creation, of all of creation. We're calling that central sun, that central force of power, the White Sun. And it's a location, and the energy that comes from it is something that probably only Hadi Jeevan can explain to you thoroughly, but it's a very high force, very high love force. Yeah,
let's listen to a piece, not in the background, but in the foreground, and tell us a little bit about this, Chatra Chakravarti. This is one of my favorite ones.
Oh, I'm so
It's
glad
so
you brought
gorgeous. It's just like absolutely divine.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. It's one of my favorites too, actually. The Chatra Chakravarti is a special mantra because there's two forces on the planet, two forces in the universe, two forces in creation, and one force is the love force, and one force is the fear force. All good things come from the love force. All negative things come from the fear force. Chatra Chakravarti is very specific. It goes in and it removes fear. And so, if you do the math, you have love, you have fear, take away fear, and the only thing left is love.
Yes.
So Chatra Chakravarti is particularly good for any type of negative thoughts, feelings, people, environments, relationships. It can just remove the negative force from those aspects of your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to listen to Chatra Chakravarti from White Sun, Volume 2. My guest is Gurujas right here on the Global Village, and the band White Sun has been extremely supportive of the Global Village and of my show. I would like to thank you so much, and of course their management also, Santosh Kaur Khalsa. I just want to thank you all, and I want to remind our listeners that this is our fund drive and that we have ample CDs here to send to you when you pledge your support, and the CD goes for $50 and the healing music pack goes for $100. 818-985-5735. Let's listen to this beautiful piece of music. That was Chatra Chakravarti by White Sun from their album White Sun 2. Such a gorgeous piece, absolutely, truly highly evocative, highly spiritual, and really tugs at your heartstrings. And my guest today is Gurujas, that beautiful voice that you're hearing in the music. Talk about Gurujas, the arrangements. And the recruitment of such amazing musicians, because you have musicians from different parts of the world, and you have a kora in there, you have tabla, you have the chorus, you have the choir.
Well, we're so fortunate to have found such incredible musicians to collaborate with. We really couldn't be more grateful. We have on this album Mamadou Djabate playing the kora, and Mamadou won a Grammy for solo kora playing, just a solo kora album for world music. And he hails from Mali in Africa, and he can trace his lineage back 70 generations of musicians. Literally, they pass it down in the family in that way.
Yes.
And so he lives in the U.S. now. He flew out to LA from North Carolina with his kora that he made himself by hand out of a gourd and fishing wire. And it also has guitar strings, but there's so many strings on a kora. I think it's 32. If
32
I'm not mistaken.
strings.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's so many strings on a kora that they can't all be guitar strings. And so one day one of the strings broke, and we had to go to the sporting goods store to get fishing wire to replace the string. So he's one of our very, 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 very fine collaborators. And another one is Abhiman Kushal, who's the tabla player on this album and on all of White Sun's albums. And he has studied with some incredible teachers and musicians, but also toured with Ravi Shankar and played with Aerosmith. And so he's worked with some heavyweight musicians, and he's just like family to us. He's the most delightful person you could ever meet, just delightful. When it comes to collaborating with other musicians, it's interesting what works and what doesn't work, because we find that it's not quite enough for us to love somebody's music. It's not quite enough for somebody to just be super, super talented. There's like a second force in play. And it's sort of a cosmic thing, something I can't really label, that also has to be there. There's like a mystical synergy that also has to take place when we find a musician to play on our albums. So we've been very fortunate to work with the musicians that we have worked with.
How do the three of you, work together as a band?
That's a good question. So I compose the melody and the mantra. I don't compose a mantra, but I'll use a specific mantra.
So you do the melody?
Yes, I'll do the melody, and I'll do the general structure of the song. And sometimes it's more fully fledged, a song from beginning to end, and sometimes it's just an idea, a melody for maybe half of the song. And then we'll come into the studio, and Adam is... I think that you know Adam. He's just a remarkable, remarkable musical genius. It is so fun to sit next to him and work with him. He has been a composer for many years, and he's won 2 Emmys for his composing work. So he comes up with incredible ideas in terms of the structure that you set the song into, the soundscape that you set the song into. He composes most of the strings on the album, most of the guitar, most of the bass. And then Hari Jeevan I think of Hari Jeevan as, he has sort of a description that no other band probably has in a band member. He's an editor, but also he hears things in the music that literally nobody else can hear. He can guide the music in a way, in a direction that's so subtle that no one else can see it. So the other night, for example, we were listening to a new mix, and very, very, very subtle change in the mix between 1 and 2. And everyone could hear 2, and only he could hear the subtleties in 1. And then he had to point them out to us and show us exactly what he was hearing, and then everyone had like this aha moment, and then we could hear it too. So his ears and his energy field is subtle and guides the music in the direction that it needs to go for us to have the result in the listeners that we want to have.
And what about some of your other projects? I know that you did this project called El Eterno Sol, the Longtime Sun.
Yeah.
And you did it with the children.
Yes, it was so fun doing it with the children. Oh my gosh, that was the Boyle Heights Children's Orchestra. And it's led by an incredible woman named Suzanne. And she put together this group for kids who want to learn music but don't necessarily have the financial means to learn music. So Boyle Heights is one of the more underprivileged neighborhoods in LA, and she wanted to bring them violin, and she wanted to bring them flute, and she wanted to bring them cello, and she wanted them to be able to learn just like any other child in a more privileged district. And so the instruments are free, the instruction is free, and she puts together concerts with these kids year-round, and they're incredible, and Yatrika, they're some of the most professional musicians I've ever met, to be honest with you. They're so well-behaved and graceful and
they're motivated.
And motivated,
yes.
yeah.
That's fantastic. Let's listen. This is a short piece. It's called El Eterno Sol, and you sing in Spanish here.
Yes.
The gorgeous voice of Gurujas, my guest today on the Global Village. And of course, we're featuring the album of White Sun, and that's White Sun Volume 2, a Grammy-winning album that is truly healing music, and it's part of the Healing Music Pack. And it's being offered to you today as a premium. If you want to get it on its own, it's $50. But if you want to get the entire pack, and that is what I recommend because they're all healing music and beautiful music, you can pledge your support for $100. 818-985-5735. I wish I could speak to you for hours, Gurujas, but we need to get together and finish this or continue, I would say, this conversation. But before I let you go, tell us where to from here.
Well, we're working on our third album, and we think it's going to be better than our first or second album. That's our goal. And we really hope to bring the science of these mantras deeper into the planet and deeper into the consciousness, just to help people. That's our goal. And speaking of helping people, we really hope that you donate to KPFK out there because they get 95% of their funding from these drives, and it's so important. This is such an incredible station, so please be generous today.
Thank you. And of course, you yourself and the band, I would say, and your manager, Santosh, have been so very generous to us with your support. And thank you so much for coming in. I'm going to leave us with Ik Ardas Waheguru.
Beautiful. Yes, said it perfectly.
And just tell us in a few words what this is about.
Our das is a word that brings you what you need and what you want in your life. It's a word that magnetically attracts whatever it is that is going to help you go in the direction that you need to go. So it's very powerful in that way. And then Waheguru, which is what we sing towards the end and in the chorus, is just a sound of happiness. It's just a sound of ecstasy. So we're trying to pull in magnetically to you what it is that you want and then leave you happy. And that's what we're trying to do in general with White Sun, is just leave you a little bit better off than you were before.
Happier than before.
Yeah.
And this is so very badly needed. And especially in these times, but at all times, we all need to be uplifted. And I want to thank you so much for coming in and your uplifting music and your generous support of the station.
Thank you.
Thank you. My guest, Gurujas from White Sun, and this is Ik Ardas. Did I say it right?
You said it
Ik Ardas
perfectly.
Waheguru. Waheguru.